The Mookie Betts one for me. I will be salty about that until the end of my days. Like I will never ever get over
that the Red Sox franchise has made since.
And of course the Red Sox will come out and they're like, we offered Mookie money. He wanted it. Shut up. All right.
Didn't offer him enough money.
You offered him a high five and a hot dog. Don't tell me you offered him money. All right. Like,
oh hell yeah, that's a quote.
Mookie Betts.
That's a fucking quote.
You pay Mookie Betts any dollar amount he wants. Any. Yep. Yes, Chris.
As long as he wants.
Chris.
As long as he wants. If he wants to sign a 30-year, $40 billion contract, bet. Done.
Yeah.
Done.
He wants two hot dogs, man. You give.
Are you telling me that Tim the Goat Tebow can switch positions in sports at 34 and you won't pay Mookie, who was 29 at the time? Are you kidding me?
Again, Urban Meyer. That's why.
Okay, bringing it back to the Red Sox. Me and Zach talked about this Sunday.
Did we?
I stand strongly with this, that Mookie Betts, the trade, is the second worst thing, is the next Babe Ruth. I'm not saying curse of the Bambino,
that's
but
what I just said.
Yeah, isn't that what you just said?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't listening because I was waiting to say my point.
Fair.
Which happened to be the same point that Drew just said.
What I was
You
saying.
son of a bitch.
Chris, I think you're right.
Chris, that was a stellar take, dude. Great job, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah.
Original content by Chris Cass.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the BOTA Show. No mas, garbage time. Only BOTA Show. No gods, no man. Only BOTA Show.
Okay.
Underwhelming.
Heard. No gods and no man makes it hard to run the BOTA Show. Just
What are we?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal.
We are BOTA. We've transcended everything else to become whatever the fuck this is.
I don't know. The word simpleton's being used a lot to describe me, so take that as you will.
Simpleton.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Very cool.
All right. So what we're doing here, we're going to be nixing garbage time in the off season. We're not going to be probably doing that off season rundown again. Maybe we will, but I doubt it. We are just going to be continuing the football news right in a BOTA Show and packing every bit of fucking sports content right up your ass. BOTA Show style.
This is the first I'm hearing about this. Hey, everybody.
I definitely told you about this live, Rob. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
We have this exact conversation.
We do this every week, Rob. We tell you what's going on, and you just kind of pop in. And you're like, "Hello."
So yeah, Rob, tell us your thoughts on Tim Tebow.
Oh my God, do we have like 3 days? Goated.
All right.
Is it weird that I've already like got my fantasy?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
Your fantasy number one pick is going to be Tim Tebow this year.
Tim Tebow,
tight end one. Yeah, no, that seems like a safe
tight
bet.
end. I'm sure you can like slot him in as both.
I don't know.
Definitely.
Calvin Benjamin, my man.
Oh, dude. So
Gonna slot in there.
Let's dig into that. Let's talk about some NFL news, right? Since we're just talking about garbage time. Kelvin Benjamin finally eats that extra Popeyes biscuit and ends up on the Giants as a tight end. I honestly didn't realize he wasn't retired.
He was retired?
No, I don't think so.
I think he was just a free agent for a while.
Just no one signed him. Which is kind of miserable. I could see the value, I guess, especially with Evan Ingram being always, questionable if he's going to play a full year.
Wait, where did he end up? The Jaguars?
Giants.
Giants. Okay, I honestly thought you said
Fucking damn
Jaguars. No, I truly thought you said Jaguars. I was like, all right, now we need to have a conversation with who's ever in like management and be like, all right, do we know what we're doing here? Or is it just kind of like throw a dart at a bunch of names and be like, oh my God, Shaquille O'Neal, call him
Tight
in.
end,
Like,
come on in.
Dude's got the best knees in the league.
got the
Tight
best
end
knees.
ever. Shaq never had an injury.
Nope. Just got a
Um,
bunch of athletes who like clearly been retired for years, and they're like, tight end, are you free?
So more controversial news. Ryan Kerrigan, longtime Washington football team player, signs with the Eagles today. He said he made a post, I think, yesterday saying he wouldn't return to the football team. Today he signs with the Eagles. That's a smack in the face.
It is. But is it he signed with the Eagles as a way of purposely saying like, hey, I'm going to go to a division rival? Or was it just that was the only place that gave him the best offer? I mean, it depends on what that headline is. It's like, hey, I went to the Eagles because they gave me the best thing possible. Then there is no undertone of hatred there or like, animosity. Now, if it turns out that like that is exactly why he did it, cool. But before we jump to conclusions,
I don't think that he's that kind of player. I don't know what you guys think down below, Zach.
I feel like no matter what, it's going to come across as that, regardless of if, he had 40, Jesus Christ, 40 teams. If he had like, 4 or 5 teams giving him offers, or if it was just the Eagles, it's going to come across as that to any Washington fan.
Yeah, and it's hard, but you have to move on at some point, right? And they're building on a young defense, and Ryan Kerrigan, unfortunately, just doesn't fit that scheme anymore.
Did anyone else notice I have a barcode on my hat? I didn't even realize it until I just noticed looking at myself. I'm sorry. There's a barcode on my hat. Forgive me.
Rob, we already have enough problems with like all of us derailing the show. We now have another person ready to derail the show.
Sorry, it was just a barcode about when I bought the hat.
Anyway, God fucking damn it. Drew, I want to get your thoughts on this because this is kind of an interesting situation. The Juwan James being cut by the Broncos. He's played a total of 16 snaps?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of understandable from the Broncos' perspective, I guess. I don't think they've really given him enough of a chance. He's a good lineman. It kind of sucks that he hasn't been able to get a foothold there without being hurt. But I would keep him around for a little bit longer and let him heal up and see what he can do when he gets back out on the field. It's eating up a lot of cap space, I understand, but I don't know. That's a big hit to the offensive line there. And if they want a chance at Aaron Rodgers, that's not going to help.
No, I'm going to say with Aaron Rodgers, that remains like net neutral for the line. The whole timeline for this goes, Juwan James gets injured. Somehow the NFL is like, hey, yo, by the way, new thing. You don't got to pay people if they get injured on their own time. So Juwan James is like, what the fuck? Like, pay me.
Right.
And then he gets cut, like, I think a week later.
Yeah.
So now there's going to be a whole ass lawsuit. This is going to be a very interesting thing, which will not work in his favor. I'm sure he'll still land on the team somewhere, but don't expect him to be a starter with all those injuries. I mean, 16 snaps, Jesus.
Yeah. No, I agree, but there's talent there. He'll find a place somewhere again, probably as a backup or whatever eventually. But yeah, it's a crazy situation. The NFL is definitely not going to budge on all these whack new rules. So
No, they never do. You know that. Come on.
Nope.
Okay, so we have. I'm going to pivot. Zach, let's talk about the NHL next because I have an interesting question that I've seen a lot of people get mad about after or before game one.
I
Even
saw it in the notes.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to be of much help to you because I don't know their cap situation, unfortunately, off the top of my head. But I can look into it and kind of do it as we go if you want.
Yeah, I mean, either way. But what Zach and I are talking about is game one. Nikita Kucherov has been out all year for the Lightning. Steven Stamkos was out more than half the year, I believe. And magically, all of a sudden, they're both ready to go for game one. So there's like the, NFL fan, like NHL fan tinfoil hat on that's saying that they did this to somehow avoid a salary cap hit, which blows me away. But yeah.
See, I don't
But how would that?
I don't see how you would be able to do that because you have to pay the player their salary for the season. If
Still
even
on your
throughout.
roster.
Yeah,
even
they're
if
still
they're
on your
hurt.
roster, right?
I'm just reading a fuck ton of angry comments. All right.
Everyone's gonna be angry about something on this. I think they're just mad. I think non-Lightning fans are just mad that all of a sudden those guys are back and ready to play.
Well, it's not the Lightning's fault that they were good enough to win without those guys and be in the position that they're in, and then have them come back healthy and ready after sitting out half, if not the whole year. Smart play
not
by
at all.
them.
Yeah, that seems to just work in their favor.
Right, and it's just strategy. It's
saying.
not really bending any rules or anything. Doesn't seem because
No, I've also
no-
never, not that I know everything there is to know about like cat, but I've never heard of it like that ever happening.
yeah, I mean,
Like that just seems like such a weird. Oh, I want to be angry. All right, let's find like something really niche, and let's just start yelling about it.
From that point, let's transition. Let's talk about the NHL playoffs because they have already gone off. They've already started. Zach, rough game 1.
Yeah, not great. Great.
Everything I was seeing said like Tom Wilson looked like a fucking Hart Trophy winner.
Yeah, no.
Well, in that game, I guess
The
they
one-
were just leaving
The
Tom
one,
Wilson around.
no, the goal he scored was good. I mean, but again, it's just a matter of the Bruins not being able to produce enough offense, and they weren't. They didn't produce anything. I mean, they had fucking Craig Anderson in net.
Craig Anderson hasn't played in like a year. Brizza?
2 years basically. Was the starting goaltender in Ottawa, lost his job basically to Andrew Hammond, and then lost his job to Matt Murray, who's done so terrific for them. So terrific. But yeah, the Bruins just need to score more. They need to score. I mean, they had 2 goals not last night, the other night, but again, they're not generating enough chances. They're not getting to Craig Anderson. I mean, the Capitals did a really good job of blocking passing lanes, blocking shot lanes, and that's how you win games, folks. So we'll see. They play tonight, but game 1 obviously goes to Capitals and OT. But the first 4 games that that they've played in the playoffs have been very entertaining. I mean, yeah, I'm pissed that they lost, obviously, but it was a good game. And you had a game, Penguins and Islanders. That one goes to OT. Islanders win that one. That was a good game. Same thing with the Wild and the Golden Knights. You had a 0-0 game going into OT, and then obviously Minnesota ekes out a win on that one. No pun intended. But yeah, I mean, you had the first 3 games of playoffs go into OT, 1-goal games, and then even the Tampa Bay game, I believe, was a 1-goal game, right? Doesn't go into OT. Doesn't go into OT, but the Panthers played a very good first period, and they looked like they were going to have their way with the game, and then the Lightning just battled back. They played a really good second, and then third period is what it was. It was a really good back and forth battle. I mean, all 8 teams played really well, and it was 1-goal game. So I mean, in all 4 contests.
Dang.
So this be the playoffs, folks. Different style of hockey.
This is it, baby. 7-game series. It's real now.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you? I'm gonna leave it off to you, Zach, to say whatever else you got about hockey, as we usually do with the BOTA Show. It's just Zach, say hockey.
Let's see. The Canucks and the Flames are still playing games. That's fun.
Wait,
You
seriously?
hear about this? Yeah, seriously.
No.
Yeah.
Why? Is it a draft stock position thing or
No.
or draft position thing?
I mean, technically speaking, yes, you have to play the games because your contract slates that you have to play all the games in the season. But yeah, I mean, there are playoff games going on, and at 10:30 tonight, the Canucks and the Flames are just playing a casual hockey game.
just dicking around, just having some fun. Just
Everyone's
because-
like everyone's kind of bored. They're like, guys, I haven't cleaned out my locker yet. Come on down to the rink. We'll get a game going.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
dead
that's
ass just doing beer league now.
they're not even wearing like actual uniforms.
Well, that's the thing. It's not even
Just
televised.
running around in like the asphalt, like just playing that like OG style of hockey.
It's just street
Wait.
hockey outside the
Yeah,
arena.
James, you heard me, right?
Wait, yeah. Did
Yeah.
you just say it's not even televised?
It's not televised to any major markets. It's only local.
Wow. And again, is it because games were missed in the regular
It's because
season?
games were missed because of COVID. The Canucks had a huge issue with COVID this year. they had a huge outbreak in British Columbia, and they missed like 7 or 8 games due to it. And they made up a lot of them, but they pushed all of the Flames games to the back. And the reason they waited was because the Flames were out of playoffs. And so they rescheduled everything to make sure that all the games were not being interfering with playoff time. Because quite frankly, the North Division playoffs don't start until I think either tomorrow or Wednesday. So they're already a game or two behind everyone else. So they're trying to finagle it where it's not going to affect anything. But the issue is that, you have a Canadian market, you're trying to play an exhibition game. Literally it's an exhibition. It doesn't even count. Like it'll count for standings wise and where they're picking. Does anyone else give a fucking flying rat's ass about that shit? No. Everyone cares about the playoffs. And the fact of the matter is they're doing that because they want games to be watched. And even though they're only doing it to local markets, they don't have Canadian playoff games right now.
Well, it doesn't sound like they actually care too much about what happens. It actually doesn't sound like they're even trying to make a statement about playoffs. No, the teams don't. But even the NHL doesn't even sound like they care. I mean, it sounds like this is a contractual obligation. They're not even going to go out of the way to televise it. They're just like, listen, guys, whatever. Play hockey. Doesn't even matter. Like,
well, no, that's the thing, though. It's not. It's a game like that, like the Canucks and the Flames, it's not a market grab for anybody that lives in the United States, unless you're a fan of that team, in which you obviously will be paying for the plan, right? So it doesn't make sense for them to televise it because they would honestly just lose a bunch of money.
Yeah,
they wouldn't get the views to justify that kind of game, especially where it's 2 teams at the bottom of their division not playing meaningful hockey. And again, because you're right, it is contractual, but the NHL does care because they are going to make some money off of the niche, off of, fans of those teams in Canada, because, again, it's Canada. So they love their hockey.
This might be a dumb question because I'm just realizing this now as you said it. Is the next round the first round where everything gets like intermeshed?
No, so it's divisional play for 2 rounds.
Divisional play for 2 rounds. Then it gets down to the conference championships, but there's no conference trophies being handed out this year because there's no conferences. It's only divisions. So what they're going to do, you get a Honda.
No, like it's so stupid. I don't understand what they're going to hand out. This will be the first time
you get a savings account.
Yeah, like here's your 401k for the next 5 years until you have to liquidate it after the league goes to shit. I'm assuming not assuming, I know what they're going to do. So what they're going to do is it's going to reseed based off of regular season standings. So again, and this is where I don't like what they did with the divisions, because there were divisions that were super easy. So you automatically get a distinct advantage in playoff seeding. And there are divisions that were fucking stupid hard, like the ones that the Bruins were in. And again, yes, I'm a Bruins fan, but I've been advocating for the Rangers ever since they started playing this season. They deserve to be a playoff team. They had the points, but they didn't make it because the divisions were fucking stupid. And again, so, teams like, depending on if they make it, Pittsburgh, the Islanders, the Bruins, and the Capitals, like, if any of them make it through, well, one of them has to, but, depending on which one makes it through, like, they're getting fucked in seeding because you have teams like Colorado and Vegas who just tore through their division because it's hot trash and scored a fuck ton of points in the regular season. They're going to have an advantage by being able to play on home ice throughout the entire round. I mean, obviously Colorado won the President's Trophy. Would they have won it if they weren't in that division? Maybe. Can't say. Colorado's a good team. Vegas is a good team. But the other teams in that division aren't that great. Minnesota, good team. They're a good team. They're not as good as their record says, though. I'm sorry. They're not. That division is
what's really funny?
Same thing with the North. The North is trash.
This is a comment more or less on like sports fans generally and like the debate about playoff seeding and all that. Yeah. But I've just decided there is just, no matter what a sports organization does. They cannot win this discussion of should we include more, should we include less, right? Prime example, the NFL a couple years back, that Panthers division, which was like that entire division, went 7-9, and someone was just unfortunately have to get dragged in there. Well, that's really unfair for whatever matchup they're going against, because that team would have a massive disadvantage against whatever like actual NFL team that year that went really well. And it's the same thing with the NBA, right? They added the play-in contention now. People weren't into that. So on one hand, people get really upset. And Zach, this is not at all a comment on you. This is just something
you're fine.
about, where it's either don't change my playoffs. That's my playoffs. Like, I want it to be this way. It's going to be the best of this. Don't you think about changing it? And then as soon as you come around to it, you're like, man, it's really unfair. Like, I've seen so many times, like, how did that team make it in? They were one game below me, but because of the way that it went in their conference or their division or how they matched up, like, it's just it's a lose-lose for, I'm pretty like, organizations outright. There's just no right answer, I feel.
Right. I understand that. But my point though, unfortunately for hockey, is that this is an emergency situation. They had to do this because of COVID, because they needed to run hockey, or else the NHL would have went bankrupt. And I understand that. But you set a precedent when you said, okay, the top 4 teams in the division are going to make the playoffs. That's fine. But then you say, okay, well, the playoff seeds are going to be just run by season points. Well, again, if you have to make makeshift divisions, throw together a bunch of teams based off the fact that you can only have Canadian teams playing Canadian teams. That was the bottom line. The entire Canadian division had to be a thing, or else they couldn't do it, because they can't have borders crossing. So not only do you give the Canadian teams a better chance of making the playoffs because there's only 7 teams rather than 8, you're putting together teams like Ottawa, Calgary, Vancouver with a team like Toronto, who is a good team. They're not a great team. Again, look at what they've done in the previous years when they've been in division with actual fucking teams. They've been good. They've gotten the 3rd or the 4th seed, played well, but they haven't made it past the first round in how many years? 25, some shit like that.
Well, I think at this point you kind of have to look at what they could control. Like, you take the Canadian division for what it is. The North Division had to be a thing. You have to have the Canadian teams in a division.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying.
But then you have to look at how they aligned the American divisions. And it clearly could have been done a lot better based on their knowledge of how those teams were at least projected to perform.
Right. And in my issue with it is, like, you have teams like Tampa Bay and Florida in the Central.
Right. Exactly.
They're not anywhere near the fucking Central. Like, and you're giving those teams opportunities like they are now, because both Florida and Tampa played very well during the regular season because they played teams like Detroit and Columbus and Chicago and Nashville. They were not good. Chicago was good at the beginning of the season, but they're not a good team.
Well, and I think this is really the first valid point you can look at, where it's like, oh, so that's why Tampa Bay was able to make it through the season as they did and get that playoff spot and not have their 2 top players, arguably.
Right. So, I mean, again, it's like, you think about it like this. You have a division where 3 teams are, I would argue, elite. Although Florida, I wouldn't argue is elite. I would argue they're great. They're a great team. They've gotten a coach in Joe Quenneville who's revitalized that system. And, sometimes you just get the right coach. And Florida seems like they got the right coach. I mean, the dude's won 3 Stanley Cups in the past 2 decades. So, he knows what he's doing. And they're a good team. They're a good team. They're not an elite team. Carolina, that's an elite team. Right? So you have a couple of teams that are really good. Tampa Bay, there was a point during the season they were not looking so good. There were injuries, all that kind of stuff. And obviously now they're back in the playoffs and they're completely healthy. So we'll see what they do. That's a surprise dark horse kind of thing. But there's only 3 teams in that division I can say they're good. You look at the East Division, there's 6 teams. 6. And yes, I am counting the Philadelphia Flyers for you people at home. They're a good team. They were victims of a fucking disgustingly hard division. They were outplayed by the Rangers, absolutely. They had some injuries to deal with, and Carter Hart did not play up to his potential this year, but they're a good team. You had 6 teams in that division that were good. So I disagree with how they, like you said, Drew, how they went about, moving the divisions together.
Mhm.
I think there was something else that they could have done, especially with, going by most points for, that conference playoff seeding. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways,
I agree.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to add to that. That was
Yeah.
phenomenal, Zach. It's good to have hockey back. God,
playoff hockey.
playoff hockey.
Probably going to be an unpopular statement, but hockey is the sport that I know the least about.
That's all right. Me too.
I'm not.
I don't really think that's an
unpopular. Yeah,
popular. I would say
maybe for being like a Bostonian, I was just never. I definitely watched hockey when I was told, "Hey, this is playoff hockey." Right. So I watched last year in the finals. I watched when we won the Stanley Cup, but I'm not a I'm not a diehard hockey fan like I am with like baseball, basketball, football.
So you're 80% of regular Bostonians who only care about the
That's
team.
true. That's probably true. Probably fair. Yeah. I don't know a lot about it. Well, in the reference point, like I couldn't tell you players outside of, the Bruins for the most part, besides like the big name ones like Alex Ovechkin.
I thought you were saying Alex Ovechkin was on the Bruins.
That's honestly more than
I at least know that much.
That is true. I don't even think I got Ovi.
Yeah.
I tried getting way too fancy with it. Throwback.
We'll run the gauntlet again for you, Jamie, and see if you can even name the players that you named last time.
I don't remember. All right. Let's talk some NBA. NBA playoffs are going to kick off on Saturday.
Heck
the big thing to watch out for are going to be these injuries. LeBron James is still nursing an ankle injury.
He's fine.
He is fine. He was laughing on the bench. People are making a huge deal out of this. The amount of fucking time ESPN gave to this morning made me want to run my head through a wall. I had it on like making content for the week.
Well, I also think they just gave it to, I think that headline, the LeBron ankle, which, by the way, just going to preface, I love LeBron James. I'm a huge fan of his game. I definitely am one of those people who think that he might be the single greatest basketball player of all time. We're not having that discussion about MJ, but that headline is huge.
Tight end than Tim Tebow.
Yes,
he would be.
He would be like a certified Pro Bowler. But anyways, I think that headline carries more traction because of Steph Curry. Because Steph Curry has willed his team into the playoffs in just a scorching amount of scoring over the past month. This game has been really hyped up, and now an hour before the game starts, all of a sudden LeBron hurts himself. Everyone's like, "Oh my god." So no, I think this is absolutely less to do with LeBron and more to do with, are we finally going to get that finals rematch we got back in 2018? So
you can hope, but
you can hope. God, you just want it to be good, right? Because as much fun as it is to watch dominant teams, right? Unless you're a true diehard fan of that team, you do get a little tired of the let's steamroll everything. It's just not fun that way. You do want there to be a little you want to watch when a team does really well and it meshes on offense and it meshes on defense. But sometimes you just want to watch two phenomenal athletes just put up points on each other in absurd numbers.
I get that. I respect that point, but that's part of the reason on the ante of that is why I rooted for Miami so hard last year. Is because they were the they fought tooth and nail to get through each round, and all of a sudden they're in the fucking final and they're fighting like Goliath. But David got stomped. It was the alternate universe where David just got shit on.
Well, that was also because that I think was one of those things where, and it's not even that the Heat were bad. It was just it came to a certain point where moving through the East has and always will be so much easier than moving through the West. It's been basketball's mantra since Kobe Bryant. It's been basketball's mantra, for at least as long as I can remember. So finally, and all the credit in the world to the Heat, because that was a phenomenal kind of Cinderella story, and Jimmy Buckets went on a tear. But when an immovable force meets an unstoppable object, you're coming up against LeBron and not even just LeBron, playoff LeBron, who already makes you a better player, and you had Anthony Davis. And so who is Jimmy Bucket supposed to fall back on? It just came down to experience. And yeah, you can tell me that Anthony Davis doesn't have that playoff experience. Yeah, but LeBron has so much of it. Rondo had so much of it that the rest of that crap didn't even matter. It balanced itself out.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
But I think this is going to be an awesome playoffs. If I can just speak really quickly, Phoenix Suns,
go for it, dude.
Good for them. I think Devin Booker is kind of one of those players where people were just like begrudgingly ready to give him the respect that I think he deserved. All the conversations I felt like for Devin Booker years leading up were always just like, he's going to be great one day. And it's that obnoxious, like theoretical appreciation, like Sam Darnold, man, he's going to be like, theoretically Sam Darnold could be great. Right. But like at some point you kind of have to take a stance on it. And finally, I'm just so happy the Phoenix Suns were like, listen, I'm so tired of you guys telling us, man, one day we're going to be great. We're just going to do it. And I think Devin Booker is a monster. Like,
yeah, but I think also, I mean, I love D-Book. Obviously he put up a huge night on the Celtics. What was that, 2 years ago?
Oh, when he put up
Still ended up
like
losing.
60, it was like 60 or 70. It was
Something
a
like that.
Stupid number.
But I think the key piece that we're not talking about is CP3 adding into their whole roster, because he has changed that team completely.
Oh yeah, I great point. Yeah, he brings not only does he bring that veteran leadership, which growing up, whenever like teams brought veteran players in, and the fallback sentence was veteran leadership. I never understood. I was like, that's okay, cool. Like, what does that mean? Totally get it now. Super important. And on top of that, CP3 has always been a competitor constantly. And whether or not you want to say maybe the team didn't mesh well in Houston, he comes to this team and they pretty much just looked at him. They're like, hey, you're the boss. Tell us where we need to be. Helps that he was the point guard. Helps that he's a generational talent. Worked out really well for everybody.
Arguably the best basketball IQ ever also, which definitely gives him a good mark.
You can't not benefit from having Chris Paul on your team, especially when you give him kind of the reins of the team and say, hey, this is your team now, lead it. You got a good young core. You got a solid team around you. Let's take us to the next level here. Make us a great basketball team.
Oh yeah. Well,
which
I mean,
they did.
You look at that point guard position equivalent to the quarterback position, and so like usually when the headlines are, big splash, so and so acquired so and so. It's like when Milwaukee got Eric Bledsoe, and I think a lot of people were like, all right, that's kind of a cool pick, but I don't think Eric Bledsoe can be your leader. And he definitely wasn't, right? Because you already had
You're at a budding Giannis at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Wherever Chris Paul ended up, that was just like, you are the leader. Like he was the de facto leader. So I think Phoenix was like the really, really the best place for him. I like DeAndre Ayton. I really like Devin Booker a lot. And I don't know, I'm hoping for a deep playoff push for the Suns. Do I think they can go all the way to the finals? I don't know, because they are going to run into that, do we have the playoff experience question? And when you're down 5 or 10 points and the clock's going, do these players have that mental fortitude that you expect in the playoffs to kind of step up? Don't know, but no matter what, I think it'll make for a really fun playoffs this year.
So speaking of playoffs, let's kind of touch. Sorry, I don't know if I just cut you off there, Drew.
I just said agreed. We're good.
All right, Betsky. Let's talk about the play-in, because this is where it gets kind of weird, right? So right now in the West, we'll start off there because we're already kind of talking about that. Memphis matches up with San Antonio. That is a 1-game thing, right?
Oh, wait. So are these the play-ins are 1 games, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
so like a wild card type. Cool.
Yeah.
It is, but they're both different. It's a little weird. It's strange.
Yes. You'll see what he means. I didn't realize this until I looked at the bracket.
Yeah.
So with Memphis and San Antonio, right? That winner will end up facing the winner of the Lakers and Golden State. No, sorry, that person.
No,
this
that
is where it gets
definitely
confusing.
can't be. Wait, that can't.
They end up playing the loser of Los Angeles and Golden State. The winner of that ends up playing Phoenix, and then the winner of Memphis, San Antonio, LA, Golden State, whoever those two teams are, end up playing Utah.
Wait, okay, so
no,
that can't wait. Hold up. Scenario. So
no, because the loser, because if you lose a game, you would be the lower seed and you'd have to play the higher seed. So they would wait. Oh, I'm sorry. Are the Jazz the higher seed right now?
Jazz are the number 1 seed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Phoenix was still number 1. That's my bad. Then
no,
right.
Phoenix is 2.
Right. Got you.
That's got to be the most.
Dude,
again,
I thought it was win and get in. I thought it was win and get in, get to the spot.
Yeah, that's what this harkens back, Zach, to the conversation you were just having a few minutes ago. There's no winning when it comes to this playoff bracket bull crap.
No.
Like we want it to be so simple, and for some reason, it is just the most.
But for me,
convoluted.
this is different. This is different though, because this wasn't out of necessity.
Yeah, this is just some asinine scheme that they came up with.
Yeah.
It's arbitrary as all hell.
No, Drew, you're totally right. I definitely think this was the NBA's way of being like, hey, more. And like,
Right.
I don't think anybody was even asking for more playoffs. Like, and if they were, I definitely didn't get the email. But I don't remember there being this big storyline in the past years being like, we need like every single team in the NBA to make it to the play-in tournament at the end.
But that's
because then at that point you're just playing soccer when it's like the Premier League and then like the Championship League and like no one cares really. It's like,
so here's my question.
Stop doing that.
Are they bubbling again? Are they in a bubble this time?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, so how does this make any sense? So you have, again, I'll just go off the East. I believe it's what, the Celtics and the Wizards, and then the
Celtics, Wizards, Indiana, Charlotte. And by the way, no, it is not bubbles. It's
right.
It's a
not
series,
bubbles,
and I'll
right?
get to that point later.
So basically, you're saying is okay. Well, the Celtics have a home game against
which
the Wizards,
they'll
right?
most likely lose.
Which they'll most likely lose, right? So
I don't know. Bradley Beal's injured.
So then they have to.
The Celtics couldn't.
They suck.
No, they're gonna lose.
They're not playing good basketball.
No, they're playing terrible.
Exactly.
But anyways, so then they have to wait until the other game is over to figure out where they have to travel to next in short notice to go play another game to figure out if they made it to the playoffs or not.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
And the frustrating part is,
sorry, I have the mic over here. My bad.
The frustrating part is how well this narrative is going to work for the NBA organization in the offseason. Because when it comes time and there's going to be questions about this, they're going to be like, yeah, well, our play-in tournament allowed LeBron James and Steph Curry to play. And that was a massive game for us, and we made a bunch of money. And it's like, yep, it did. We see that. Please do not don't let that be like the justification to continue this complicated playoff scheme. And that's the worst thing is like the best case scenario for them was two teams with premier level talent. It had to make the games worth it. And it just happens to be that in one of these play-in games, you're going to have like the two greatest basketball players of our generation right now. It's just so frustrating that that's how it worked out in terms of that playoff number.
Well, but for me, it wouldn't be able to justify it for me because I'm looking at it like this. You have one game where you have that, right? There is obviously an opportunity where somewhere down the line they could have met, and had a 7-game series. I mean, it would have taken until the conference finals because I know the Lakers are 7 and Golden State is 8. They would have made the playoffs regardless. So for me, I look at it like this: 7 and 8, right? The Wizards, Celtics, the Lakers, and the Warriors, right? Do any of the other two teams like make you think, oh, well, you know what? They do deserve to like have a chance to play for this playoff spot. Do any of those 4 teams scream that to you?
I see where you're going, Zach. I super see the point you're trying to make. What they can just fall back on is we don't have to play the shoulda, coulda, woulda, what if game. We just have a factual scenario now where these two teams met in our playoff play-in nonsense. So like, I think you're totally right. These teams absolutely would have met later, right? I think those are like, especially without this like play-in tournament, those teams definitely would have made it, right? And they would have moved up. Yes. The problem is they don't have to play that classic what if scenario. They can literally just fall back on and say, our play-in tournament worked because now we got two very, very marketable teams right here. They're going to play each other. You're all going to watch it. It's one game, but that's all they needed. They were literally like the odds were, it was bases loaded, no outs with like a closer on the mound who's his first game. It was nigh impossible for them to lose this situation. They're going to get a game that's going to make a lot of money. They're going to argue it's going to really work. And unfortunately, our argument is we don't like it. And that's the best that we can come up with.
I mean, I honestly, like my argument would be, well, no, you're now potentially losing out on, the Lakers and the Warriors, the two teams that have been dominating the Western Conference in the past. Obviously, the Lakers are new talent now, specifically, but the Golden State has been dominating the West for the past 5-6 years.
Right.
Would be going up against the 1 and 2 de facto seeds of the West and potentially causing some big upsets. Like, I would rather have that than one game of LeBron and Steph Curry.
Yeah,
but they're not.
The NBA does not want necessarily the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns to be the two teams in the conference championship.
Drew's
don't
right. The
want
NBA is
those
not
two
batting
teams.
for emotional
what I'm-
games.
but
They're
that's what I'm
batting on
saying.
numbers.
I
understand
they're
that.
not those small market teams. They're gonna give them every chance to lose that they can.
Right. And I feel like you're giving them a better chance because, what happens if the Lakers play 2 bad games of basketball? They're out. Where in the other scenario, you're putting number 7 against number 2. They're playing Phoenix. Los Angeles has 7 games. I would take Los Angeles in that series.
Right, but what's a better narrative that they can fall back on? Is it that the Golden State lost to the Lakers, or as Drew pointed out, Golden State lost to a low market team? If whatever team makes it out of this, the Lakers or Golden State, the narrative is, yep, that rivalry's still there because it took the best to beat the best. If that game doesn't happen that way, if Golden State makes it into the playoffs and they get knocked out by a team in the West who definitely is not as high market, that's a harder narrative for them to spin. And you got Zach, I'm with you, man. I want those emotional games more. But as far as the NBA going, in terms of if they're just looking to capitalize on money, this is a win-win for them. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I see it from from that perspective. I just feel like as a general fan, obviously seeing LeBron and Steph Curry playing in a game together, obviously you want the known. That's the known. And you don't have those small markets playing. But at the same time, like if I'm a general fan of basketball, yes, I'd love to watch that game, but I'd also love to watch Steph Curry carry an 8 seed team over a huge upset and then win the MVPs. That's what I would want as a general fan of basketball. I
just don't think the NBA's as far as what the NBA wants their storyline to be. I just don't think they can gamble that. Because I mean, as with every sport, right? You inevitably, no matter what kind of hot streak you're on, it does eventually end in one way or another. And the last thing the NBA probably wants is Steph Curry carrying them and then first round knockout because the momentum just stopped. This way, they can at least fall back on. But yeah, it was to LeBron, right? I mean, and Zach, I'm right there with you, man. I want those games instead. It's hard to look away though from what's like right in front of you.
It's just crazy to me. What's crazy to me is that you're looking at these 7 and 8 teams, and like obviously the Celtics are a different case because they lost Jaylen Brown. They've been playing terrible basketball, but
just awful
for all of us. I think all of us expect the Lakers and the Warriors to make the playoffs, right?
Yeah, I
foresee that happening. So
it's kind of like when you make your playoff bracket every year. You already seeded the first like 7 teams in the West, and the fun is who is that 8th,
right? So here's my question, right? So if you have that, you have the Lakers say you have that one game, right? Now the Lakers lose both of those games and they're out of the playoffs. There goes a huge ass fucking market. There goes an entire section of the country that will watch playoff basketball because they're not going to watch playoff basketball if the Lakers aren't in, right? Yeah. So there's a gamble on both sides, but this is the unknown. What they're going with is actually the unknown. Because beyond that one game, you have 9 and 10 who, they could play a really good game of basketball, make the playoffs. And then you have, I don't know, Phoenix against the Grizzlies. Who wants to fucking watch that?
But
no one.
That's my whole point. That's what I'm trying to say about this whole thing. This was a gamble and they won. The NBA won this in the most spectacular fashion they possibly could have. They gambled a new playoff bracket. They're going to get a massive interest out of it. And that's the bummer. That's what I've been saying is it's like they can literally just look back at this when it comes time to discuss next year. If we keep this situation, they go, heck yeah, absolutely. Because look how great that play-in game was last year, right? It's the jackpot, right? It's all they're going to need to justify this going forward.
I'm going to argue that they're doing that format for one game, right? They're basically the format worked out for one game. Because is anyone really going to want to watch Celtics Wizards? Like, is that a marquee matchup in the league? No. Shut up, James. No one fucking loves
they also didn't need every game to work.
No, of course.
They really didn't. They actually needed 1, maybe 2.
You're correct. They don't need every game to work. I understand that. But eventually the pushback is going to be there, and they're going to have to get rid of it because
yeah.
they're not going to, because all these games, like you're including way too many teams. And
You are.
again, how could you walk away from having two premier teams being the 7 and 8 seed for, the first time in a long time, right? And having the potential for them to do that, right? That's a known. That's a known because you know that they have the potential to upset. You know where they're going to be in the bracket. The gamble that they're going with is one game. I understand that, but from a general fan perspective, like if the Lakers aren't there, it's not as interesting. If the Golden State Warriors are not there with MVP Steph Curry, it's not as interesting. And they have the potential to lose both of them.
Yeah.
Well, actually, sorry. One of them. They have one. My bad.
Listen, here at the end of the day, like regardless, it's just the unfortunate nature of it all. But like at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's like it stinks, but it is what it is. You know what I mean?
But anyways, I'm just trying to get into the head of, like, I don't know, Adam Silver.
Go play that game.
Yeah.
You will fall down a very complicated business rabbit hole if you try to.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like you would want, you want to stand pat on what you have, and I feel like, the NBA is just trying to cater to fans that they don't have right now. I feel like that's what they're doing. You get one game, obviously it's going to make you a bunch of money, and they're catering to fans that they don't have. They're catering to, people that don't watch basketball. They know, oh, I know Steph Curry. Oh, I know LeBron James. Wherein people that watch basketball are like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like, no one wants this. You know what I mean? So, you're appeasing to not even fair weather fans. You're appeasing to the unknown on all aspects of this, at least from my perspective. And you're gonna lose respect and viewership with regular basketball viewers because no one's gonna want to watch this crap come playoff time. They want the playoffs. They don't want this bullshit. But that's my take.
Yeah.
All right, Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
So Drew and I are gonna come back in here. The rest of the bracket, we already said Utah is gonna match up with the loser of the 7-8. The Clippers end up playing the Mavericks. My favorite matchup in the West.
Phoenix matches up. What? Utah matches up with the loser of 7 and 8.
No, Utah. Utah matches up with the loser 7-8. The winner of that plays Phoenix,
right?
No, James. Utah's number one.
I'm looking at it.
We are looking at it, correct?
So 7 and 8 play and 9 and 10 play. The winner of 9 and 10 plays the loser of 7 and 8. And
correct.
then
the winner of that
plays
game plays Utah.
Got it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we're on the same page.
Okay.
Then the winner of 7 and 8 plays
Phoenix.
That
Plays
one's straight.
All
That
right,
one's
easy.
whatever. Everybody, I cordially invite you to eat my scrotum. My favorite matchup, as I was
Put it on a
rudely
plate.
interrupted by
Give me a fork and
Drew
knife, bitch. I'll
correcting
gobble
me.
that shit up.
Hey man, just trying to make sure the record is straight.
Zach, I'd rather use a spork if you don't mind.
That's fine. It's a
My
perfect
favorite
utensil.
matchup in the West has got to be Denver versus Portland. Denver versus Portland, I think, is going to be a fucking fun series. That's a 7-game series, no doubt.
And Damian Lillard, shout out because he is my favorite basketball player. In
Playoff Dame.
Playoff Damian is one of the most intense and efficient basketball players I have ever seen. I mean, he's an absolute stud. I love Portland. Huge fan of his game. Remember when he came in? I was actually really excited when it was LaMarcus Aldridge and Damian Lillard. That to me was such an awesome time. And then that team just kind of like just inches season by season, almost there. And then kind of runs into what a lot of people in the West eventually come into. So, which is, either Golden State at the time or the Lakers. But yeah.
Okay, so now let's look at the East because I already said Denver Portland. Okay, let's look at the East. Play-in games, we already talked about Indy and Charlotte. Then they'll match up with whoever loses out of Boston and Washington. The winner of that matchup will go on to play Brooklyn, and the winner of the loser-winner matchup ends up playing the number 1 seed, Philly. Then we have the Knicks matching up with the Hawks and Milwaukee and Miami. I'm looking at them. They're all pretty good matchups. I really think the marquee matchup out of all this, though, has to still be Denver-Portland. on either side. I don't, like we said, we don't really care about the playing games, or I don't at least. I mean, I'm a Celtics fan. I don't give a fuck. I don't think we're going anywhere. And then whoever gets the misfortune of matching up with Brooklyn and Philly. Cool. But Drew, you have any thoughts on this one?
I think the Milwaukee Miami series will be at least kind of fun as just a redo of last year.
That's
see
a
if
good
Milwaukee
point.
can,
Little revenge tour.
yeah, see if Milwaukee can bury the demons from last playoffs and all that jazz. So I think the 3-6 matchups really are the ones to watch here. I think
Or the Jazz are in the West.
yes.
Yes.
He said
Okay.
all that jazz, and I came in a little late for the joke.
Oh,
but that's fine.
fuck off.
Oh, all right. Well, God, I think the other matchup that's going to be decent, regardless, is going to be Phoenix against whoever wins between
So,
the Lakers and Golden
irregardless.
State. So, nope, that is not a word.
I know. I do it every time. It's fun.
Moving beyond that, I think a funny thing, I think Rob, you and I talked about this at work. Nobody is talking about Milwaukee being a contender anymore. Nobody's like, oh, Giannis could push them through this year. Because everyone knows you stop Giannis, the rest of the team is meh.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad that storyline's finally going into this season.
Yeah, well, there's also this kind of like a crap or get off the pot situation. I think that's been kind of in Milwaukee for a while. You know, and okay, to me, a big problem was you oversold Giannis hardcore over the past few years. Really oversold him. You know, the headlines weren't just what a great basketball player, what a like a phenomenal team player. No, it was what a dominant beast. And the headlines were always, and to Giannis's credit, he is a absolute monster, truly. But right, I mean, that headline can eventually work against you once you're unable to get there. And also, not even Giannis's fault. Milwaukee is terrible at adding players around him. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
That's
have you
just a
seen their
Wisconsin thing, man.
acquisitions? It's garbage. What's that?
He said it's just a Wisconsin thing.
Ugh. I mean, I don't get it. I with all the whether or not, you know, if it comes out that, you know, Milwaukee's like, hey, we've really tried and to get these like big name players and nobody's come here. Well, that's not an excuse. The question is, what are NBA players not wanting with Giannis that we're not seeing, right? I mean, Giannis is an absolute monster, and yet for some reason that team can't get over the hump, whatever it is. And it's like, I love Giannis. I think he's a great player. And I would like for Milwaukee to win because I think that would be cool. Shakes it up a little bit. But it's going to be like that Heat thing all over again, right? Jimmy's great. Jimmy's a phenomenal basketball player. Who else is there?
Tyler Hero, baby.
Hero, baby. And he's
Hero.
good.
Miami got hot at the right time, which is another thing we talked about. But I feel like we have beat the NBA to a pulp.
Yeah,
Let's talk
that
about
was a
some
while.
baseball, Drew.
Yay!
Bye.
Ball and stick.
LA Dodgers, baby.
Oh God.
They're big
All right,
Dodgers.
slippery slide. So I gotta say, the kind of funny thing as I was writing the notes today, we had like the Red Sox are in a bad shape. They got swept by the Orioles, which is I guess the last time we did garbage or the BOTA Show.
Yep.
Now-
I changed the date.
Thank you. Now the Red Sox are leading the MLB in wins.
It should be. Well, I know they lost last night, but they won 2 against the Angels, so I believe
They are currently tied against the Athletics.
Oh, all right.
Which is also doubly shocking
Yes.
Indeed, it is.
because both
But-
teams started
but
off dog shit.
the AL West is also like a terrible division. Like, listen,
It's
whether or
top
not,
heavy.
whether or not, and I know we're going to talk about the Angels later, and they're underperforming. But
Yeah,
that
but,
isn't
I mean,
that isn't a division where if any of those teams sit at the top, I'm shocked that another team isn't. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
but
Like,
I mean, they're not only playing teams in their division. It's not the NHL. They're playing teams from across the leagues. I don't
sure.
think that being in a weak division has any real bearing
Right, no,
on the fact that they're
but it's not even like a division where they're either like that they're all competing or contending against each other. It just kind of feels like it's average across the board. Specifically to the AL West. There is not a team in the AL West regardless of how you want to feel again about the Angels, that I think is as dominant as any other team in the AL West. Right? There are certain teams and divisions where you can look at it and you're like, well, yeah, duh, they're going to lead. That's clear. It's just not, I just don't feel that way about that particular.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's competition. I think there's a lot to be sorted out, in especially the American League. There's a lot of good races going on division-wise. Even in the National League. National League East is kind of fucked, but
I can't wait. We'll dive into that, Drew.
Ball.
So
National, yeah.
with us talking about the Red Sox, obviously
Contribution.
pitching's been our biggest issue still. We never know
It
what
has
we're
been
going to
for
get out of our
years.
starters. It has been consistently, but our offense is keeping us alive through so many games. Oh, wow. Look who fucking put up the bat signal, put up the big fat B in the sky. All of a sudden, Chris appears when we start talking about the Sox. Look at that. Chris, welcome to the show.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. We were just talking about the Red Sox and their pluses and minuses. Sophie, you slut.
And they're what? Pluses and minuses?
Yeah, like what's good, what's bad?
Oh, I
Jesus.
love that they go up like 11 game win streaks and then all of a sudden they lose 5 in a row. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's just the nature of the Red Sox, though.
that 100%. But it's also, I don't think anyone expected this at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, look where we're at compared to last year. We thought, oh, this season's another rebuilding season, and now look at them.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty
This
impressive.
is the perfect season for the Red Sox because there's literally nothing they can do wrong. They only serve to garnish favor. They're either going to play like crazy like they are, in which case everyone's like, damn, what a great season for the Red Sox. Way to show up, guys, when we had zero expectations. Or they do exactly like what people were expecting, and the narrative is, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what we were expecting. It's kind of hard for the Red Sox to lose metaphorically this season just based on like narrative alone, right? The pitching, it's not great, but let's also not pretend like the pitching is like it's rare that we lose games where the question was, damn, the pitching held and the batting like didn't. No, it's either we're winning these games like 9-0 and the pitching locks it down, or the bats go quiet and we're losing these games like 3 or 4-0. I never really find the Red Sox to be one of those teams where it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. No, it's like very rigidly either the pitching failed or the batting failed.
one or the
100%.
other.
100%. And that's what stings the most, I think, is when our pitching's hot, it's hot. And when our bats are hot, they're hot. But there's no in between. So, like,
They're also
what
never
we-
hot
It does
together.
never align.
Yeah, James, exactly. The stars never align on that one. There isn't a game where, we like K16 and put up like 7 runs. It's just not.
Mhm.
So with that being said, let's talk about someone else in the East, our favorite. Let's talk about how the Yankees have bounced back from a dog shit start to just become a fucking top tier team again.
Yeah.
Out of
It's
nowhere.
still dog shit.
I mean, yeah, they're still a garbage organization, but that's not the point.
with the sheer quantity of talent and money that they've thrown into that team, it was inevitable that at some point they were gonna not suck completely anymore.
Right.
So I mean, we've reached that point, unfortunately, a little earlier than maybe anticipated. But yeah,
I mean,
James, can I chime in for a second?
yeah, go ahead, Zach.
I just want to say,
cut off Drew, so yeah.
no, that's fine. Not that I'm a Yankees fan or anything, but the Red Sox organization's pretty garbage after Super League, so can't really.
We're kicking Zach from the
Yeah.
fucking chat.
After what?
You shut your
After the
whore
Super
mouth.
League debacle.
In
the Fenway
which did
Group?
not include baseball.
I understand that, but he's talking about the organization, which is my perfect time to chime in and not talk about baseball because I don't care for
He's
it.
talking about soccer.
Yeah, I'm talking about soccer because they own Arsenal, correct?
Don't bring
Liverpool.
LeBron James into
Sorry,
this.
they own
Keep him out
Liverpool.
of
My
this.
fault. I don't know soccer either, but at least I read about it. All right.
Doesn't know
Fair enough. Proud of
soccer,
you.
doesn't know baseball, goes to complain about how they handle soccer and baseball.
Exactly.
So, for my baseball boys in the chat here, Garrett Cole been lights out for them. That has been consistent even when they were losing. Aaron Judge is finally raking, which is great, and
Giancarlo
Giancarlo
Stanton
Stanton's
has
on a
been-
hot streak.
Well, he was until he was placed on the DL. But
What a shock.
what a shock, right? No, and I think, Drew, James, Chris, you'll agree with me, is that Giancarlo Stanton was the lifeblood of the Yankees this year. I mean, just kind of like brought that team back. I mean, he was the only one performing. I mean, I'm pretty sure there was like questions about Aaron Judge's future in like with the Yankees. Like those were the kind of things that you were kind of starting to hear early on in the Yankees, right? And like in the season kept going a little bit, and Aaron Judge, it was like, hey, like, is this going to be a point where the Yankees are going to trade a bunch of players come the trade deadline? If this keeps going, is Aaron Judge maybe one of those players?
See, the thing is, though, what gets me there is we're hearing that from Yankees fans who, at James's girlfriend, are the biggest scumbag fans in the world. They started throwing shit at their own players because they were losing. Like, I mean, there's no respect at all. So, of course, Aaron Judge has a couple bad games and he's injured. What are they going to say? Yeah, this guy sucks. We don't want him anymore, blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what happened. I don't think from the organization it was coming out that Judge was going to leave.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think that's fair. I think it's the whole puppy thing I've talked about where Yankees fans, when they're in there, are either everything's great or everything's awful. There's no like,
exactly.
Yeah, there's but you could say, I mean, that's not exclusively a Yankee thing. I mean, that's every organization to a degree, some more than others, have fans that are like that. I mean, listen, I'm not a Yankees fan, right? It's just you're raised Red Sox Yankees rivalry. That's it. You do not like the Yankees, and I mean that's just the end of the discussion. There is no why. Nope, son, stop. You just don't like the Yankees. That's the rule. But I'm not going to fault these headlines coming out because no matter what fandom you're a part of, you have these like, I mean, Bruins fans want Rask gone. Celtics out. Celtics fans have. I mean, there's even questions about asking Brad, like not asking, but like wanting Brad Stevens to leave and wanting Marcus Smart to leave. Right. So no matter where you're coming from, it's the, don't even get me like the Packers organization, right? I mean, the fans feel one way, the organization feels another way. It's just a sports thing.
Yes, but I think in this stance is Rask has been the goalie for the Bruins for what? The starter for 5 years now?
No, longer.
Yeah, I think
longer.
Way longer, I think.
He technically
like
had a season.
Years?
The year before they won the Stanley Cup, he was a starter the entire season. Then Thomas played another season after that, so he's technically been the starter for since 2012.
2012,
yeah.
Okay, so
2012. So it's been 9 years.
Like, you have your good and your bad, and we have stuck with him. I think of him as a backup. He's not my favorite goalie, but I do stick with him now. And then when you talk like Marcus Smart and Brad Stevens, they've been there. We've given them a couple of years. When you have Aaron Judge do what he did last year and the year before, and then all of a sudden this season, they're like, nah, this guy, he's just trash. Like, we don't want him on our team anymore. That, I think, is the difference in the sense where they're not even giving their own team a chance. They just see that slump and they ride it and they coattail and tell everyone to sell out.
Well,
and
I mean, there's a balance there. It's at some point you're gonna have to bite that bullet and say, well, shit, we've poured every ounce of dollar that we can into this. We brought in the biggest names on the market year after year, pitching, batting, everything. We've raised our own talent in Aaron Judge, and we've done XYZ. We've done everything that it seems possible to do with this group of guys. And we just can't get over the hump, be it injuries or whatever it is. It's just not working at some point. So they may be jumping the gun a little bit, of course. And I don't think Aaron Judge necessarily is the core issue. I think there are other pieces that you would look to unload first, with Judge still being as young as he is. But
you want him to, I mean, he's the future of your team.
Right, exactly. I think
you would fire sale everything else first before Judge.
You'd think that they do exactly the opposite of what the Red Sox did with Mookie Betts.
Yes.
That's gonna sting. That's gonna sting probably for the rest of my life.
I saw non-flashbacks going through your mind, Rob.
That's probably gonna go down as like one of the. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Tom Brady one's going to be a very, very close second.
Well, but that wasn't a.
That's different.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Different.
It's super different. The Mookie Betts one for me, I will be salty about that until the end of my days. Like I will never ever get over
that the Red Sox franchise has made since.
And of course the Red Sox will come out and they're like, we offered Mookie money. You want it? Shut up. All right.
Didn't offer him enough money.
You offered him a high five and a hot dog. Don't tell me you offered him money. All right. Like,
oh hell yeah, that's a quote.
Mookie Betts.
That's a fucking quote.
You pay Mookie Betts any dollar amount he wants. Any. Yep. Yes, Chris.
As long as he wants.
Up, Chris.
As long as he wants. If he wants to sign a 30-year, $40 billion contract, bet done.
Yeah,
done.
He wants two hot dogs, man. You give.
Are you telling me that Tim the Goat Tebow can switch positions in sports at 34, and you won't pay Mookie, who was 29 at the time? Are you kidding me?
Again, Urban Meyer. That's why.
Okay, bringing it back to the Red Sox. Me and Zach talked about this Sunday.
Did we?
I stand strongly with this, that Mookie Betts, the trade, is the second worst thing, is the next Babe Ruth. I'm not saying curse of the Bambino,
That's
but
what I
we're
just said.
Yeah, isn't that what you just said?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't listening because I was waiting to say my point.
Fair.
Which happened to be the same point that Drew just said.
What I was
You
saying.
son of a bitch.
Chris, I think you're right.
Chris, that was a stellar take, dude.
narrative.
Great job, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah.
Original content by Chris
What
Casper.
also stings way more. And okay, funny enough, for as salty as I am about it, I love that he went to the Dodgers because yes, Dodgers are great. Dodgers deserve literally everything ever. Because they went through such crap in the early 2000s and like the 2010s. Anyways,
all right,
like
Weasels
making
it is.
World Series
the fact
3
that-
years in a row and losing.
and then they lose to the cheaters, okay, and then they lose to the Red Sox, who that was first of all, the Dodgers had kind of I think the Dodgers mentally checked out of that World Series against the Red Sox before it even started. I mean, you could just see the way that they were playing. They gave everything they had to that extra innings game, but I mean, that was one where like the Red Sox were like, let's do this. Like, it's our first time without Poppy. We're going into this. We got a great team. David Price was playing ball, but okay, no, hold up. Sorry. That's like super not the point. The point is, I love that the Red Sox are doing really well, but Zach, this is exactly same along the lines to that NBA point I made. The Red Sox organization's narrative is, hey, we're cool. Like, we let go of Mookie and we're balling out now. And it's like, I'm just so frustrated that they can fall back on that, right? It's the same I was talking about with, hey, playoff contention works because we're going to get a great market game. The Red Sox organization's going to go, guys, I mean, I know you're so bummed that we let a generational, once in a lifetime, face of the franchise level talent in his prime go. But guys, we're winning baseball games.
But hey, guys, Alex Verdugo.
Yeah, and unfortunately, all
Don't
Red
hate
Sox
on
fans.
Doogie.
Alex Verdugo is great. I think he's a phenomenal player.
I
do not think he was Mookie level trade worthy.
No.
But
okay, here's my question, Rob. Was anyone?
Yes.
Mike Trout.
There are 3 baseball players that I would have liked to have received for Mookie Betts. Not even like from the Dodgers. There are only 3 baseball players that I would have liked to have received: Shohei Ohtani, Francisco Lindor,
Lou Gehrig,
and
no, just his disease.
Yeah,
Lou Gehrig in
just
his wheelchair or in his prime,
or Cody Bellinger. Those are the 3
Take
baseball
the C
players.
out of ALCS, and you got it.
Yeah.
So I only would have accepted Bellinger. I only would have accepted
Poor
Bellinger.
James.
Yeah, I don't really want anything to do with Lindor.
But I agree. And Ohtani is just why I would not take him.
I would take him for
because you get an ace in the rotation and then a fucking DH.
You would bring a dominant pitcher into an organization that notoriously has had terrible pitching, and Shohei Ohtani rakes. And yeah, you can maybe sit there and go, well, he's not going to hit because the DH system. Yeah, but he's batting as a DH anyways. They're finding ways around it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So,
but I'm
think he would
almost at the point where if the Red Sox were a National League team, 100%. I'm kind of at the point where like I wouldn't take him on an American League team. And that's just my standing, I think, because I think you'd get caught up in that rotational issue where if he pitches, he can play the DH the next game, but he can only play as a pitcher if you put him on as a pitcher. He can only play so many in the American League before he has to sit out.
That's okay. Fair point. And also, I want to switch out Francisco Lindor for Fernando Tatis Jr.
That's
Okay,
much
but
better.
no one could get hit. There was no possible
I was
way.
wondering why you're
Those
gonna
are
go
the
with
three.
Taters.
Those are the three players. But you're right. You're right. Shohei might not have done like he probably couldn't have been as efficient here. But I'm not making these. I'm not saying this in terms of like looking at that way. I'm just saying those are the level. That's the level of talent I would have wanted for. Had I got any of those though, I'm still salty about it. But those are the three where I can at least be, or I can at least like hang my hat on it.
Mhm.
That would have been my follow-up question is even if you gotten those players, would you actually have been satisfied or not?
Honestly, and I think you guys can agree with me on this. In the long term, I would have to shut up because Mookie was 29. He was trying to sign a max deal. Baseball players, as far as their longevity into the later years, they don't have that speed. So Mookie's not going to be as effective long term as he would have been. But I mean, it's Mookie Betts. Like it's like giving away like David Ortiz. Like you just wouldn't do it.
Quick
Right?
interjection
That's the thing,
here.
though. And
Mookie
you
Betts
go
was
ahead.
27.
Was he 20? Is he so?
Yeah, he's currently
He was
28
29.
years old.
Oh, that's fine.
But
Okay.
he still
But
stands by the
even,
point. That
even
he's
then,
looking for a
James,
max
shaving
deal.
off like a year or two, that max contract's bringing him right into his mid 30s. In which case, if I had maxed out like Fernando Tatis, even at the end of that max deal, he's now entering his like early 30s.
Yeah, but you're also the same guy who said Aaron Judge was the future of the Yankees at 29.
Yeah, but because he's already established player. He's already great. So he can be the future forever. And he fits the exact mold of a baseball player who will play long into his years. He's a big power hitter. Those guys you lose your speed before you lose your strength.
That's fair.
I-
Is he the future or is he the now? Because it sounds like he's the now.
Well,
both.
Not
until-
fantasy wise.
until the
James.
Yankees
You
win the
can't really
World
have both.
You-
No,
until the
fantasy
Yankees-
wise.
Yeah,
Until
you
the Yankees
absolutely
win
can.
a
He can be
World
the now
Series.
and the future. He absolutely can.
Yes, no, Drew.
So-
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Because
I
until
mean-
the Yankees win a World Series, you can only call them working towards the future. Until they win, everything is towards the future.
I want to
mean,
chime
that's-
in
that's
two
fair.
things.
That's fair.
And bringing back to when the Red Sox make the World Series, I think what has the Red Sox stick out more than any other team is when they make the World Series, at least in the 2000s, they're 4-0.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that point where when they
Wait,
make
isn't
that
it-
World Series, they know they're bringing it home. There's just something about it. They just know that they're going to bring it home. But
Yeah.
the other point I wanted to make is I think the Red Sox, I blame most of it on Dombrowski because the Red Sox used to be a team that gave those players max deals. We can look at Pedroia, we can look at Ortiz, we can look at so many different players that were given max deals that they thought were generational talent or that were generational talent. But Dombrowski fucked our whole entire farm system up so bad, the whole team throughout the long run, that with Mookie, Kyle Bloom had nothing left to do but get rid of Mookie. There was no
Yeah, I'd
way
say.
to keep him when you look down into the stats. It wasn't possible.
Yeah, but even if you blame Dave Dombrowski, which I totally think you should, and I'm also like, to me, I was laughing so hard when all of a sudden people in the Red Sox like organization fan base were like, wait, he does that? Like, guys, that's not news. That's how Dave does everything. It's how he was with the Marlins. It's how he was in Detroit. You still blame the organization as a whole because they knew what they were getting with Dombrowski. So I unfortunately can't let the whole like, yeah, it's Dave's fault entirely. Yeah, I mean, it's a large portion of it. But the organization couldn't have been shocked when all of a sudden he's gone and they're looking at an absolute
literally
disaster of a budget.
It's literally what you brought him in to do. I don't
Yeah.
know that you
Yeah.
envisioned
Yes.
it ending in losing Mookie Betts at the end of the day, but
Yeah.
you brought Dave Dombrowski to bring in players to build a team that was going to win a World Series, and he fucking did.
And he
came
did
here
very much like
won a World
against
Series.
his own like skill set too, because he brought in truly. I will always argue that he brought in, and yes, Chris Sale's kind of like the big winner, but Pablo Sandoval, Hanley Ramirez, like, are you kidding?
No.
And then and he definitely burned the notion of max deals. But But then how bad are you at scouting, or not even scouting? How bad are you at looking outside onto the diamond and not realizing that regardless of what Dave did, you do everything you can to keep a player like Mookie? Like, that blew my mind. Like, literally everybody else on that team, you could get, I mean, you can get rid of before Mookie. And there's like, I love JD Martinez and I love Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers. And I think that's a solid, like, that's a great squad. I just don't think they tried hard enough. I truly don't. If it comes out that they offered him like the most money available and he was like, nah, I'm good, that's different. That's a different story.
Right, but he came out and said he wanted to be a Red Sox for life.
Yeah.
Oh, at one point they did offer him a huge deal.
They did. But in comparison to some of the ones that were signed later that year or earlier that year, was it a huge deal, or was it the best they could do? Because you also want to be respected as a baseball player. Like, yeah. Also,
they offered him a $300 million contract. He wanted.
Yeah, but what we all know about max deals, how is that money really awarded yearly?
Good point. We don't know.
Right? I mean, was that all that money and then it was backloaded? Was it incentive based on performance?
Mm-hmm.
We'll never know.
Remember, they were also dealing with Pedroia taking $12.5 million each year too. So
yeah,
I mean, we talked about this a long time ago, but they kind of pulled with Pedroia. Zach will know what I'm talking about. I don't know if anyone else remembered what's going on with Mark Savard. And it's kind of, he got injured on the team and he's just that generational talent. And you're like, well, we can't just end his contract and shoot him on the road.
He was a lot different with Pedroia than Savard. Savard, he got hurt. You knew that he wasn't going to play again. That was kind of it. Pedroia played. He came back. He played for a couple years.
3 games. He played 9 games over 4 years.
Right, but he's still coming back. He's still trying to play, and you're saying, "Hey, well, you're Dustin Pedroia. You've been with us since 2008. You're the captain of our team. We're going to let you have the chance to keep trying to play if you want. But as soon as you don't want to do that anymore, let us know, please."
See, that's the thing, though, is I think I completely agree with that, and 100% I would give Pedroia any opportunity where he feels he's okay. But I think deep down, the organization and Pedroia knew he was done. I just wish back in, after his first thumb injury, when he knew that he couldn't throw or catch the same anymore, I wish they just said, dude, you're still young, get better, be the best hitting
as they look at his
coach
receding
that we've
hairline.
Ever. Yeah, I mean, he was still young.
See,
at the time.
I don't
in
think
2017, he was the hitting coach. It would have been ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't think that's how that was going to play out. I think
it couldn't. It couldn't
because it was either
2021.
It was, but let's just say, for argument's sake, that for one reason or another, the Red Sox are recognizing that, hey, Dustin, like, your future with our organization is kind of over. And Dustin's like, yeah, man, I get it, cool, and they part ways. And then somehow he ends up on another team and plays really well. Name alone would have angered every Red Sox fan in the world. I mean,
that's very fair.
Like, it's. But the Dustin Pedroia situation is just kind of like a really sad one onto itself. You never want to see a player have his career just harpered by injuries until the end, especially one who really was amazing in that first 4 or 5 years, 6 years.
Mm-hmm. MVP, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger.
Player.
Yeah, just along those lines of meaning to the organization, like Jason Varitek levels of just clubhouse presence and
hometown
sentimental value,
just like a hometown name, or household name, household hero.
Yeah, exactly. If you knew one person on the Red Sox, or two because of David Ortiz, it was David Ortiz and Dustin Pedroia. Yeah. I can name the big four. Pedro Martinez, Manny Ramirez, Dustin Pedroia, David Ortiz, and then you can play with the other ones Nomar. I think you got to throw Varitek in there.
Varitek, Nomar
to a degree.
Johnny Damon.
That's the part that hurt really bad. That's a name that you can use kind of comparing with Dustin Pedroia, and if you would let him go, if he had ended up on a team like the Yankees, if he had ended up on wherever.
We can say the same thing. With Ellsbury, we can say the same exact thing.
But I think that speaks more to that rivalry between the Red Sox and Yankees, and not necessarily you know what I mean? It's just that big, right? Whereas if it was a lower level rivalry in a different sport, could you make the same argument?
Right. or even a different team.
Right,
in baseball.
It's like,
So,
That's my take on
hey guys, on the note of Mookie Betts, because Jesus Christ, I didn't expect the Red Sox thing to go off that long, but here we are. Dodgers are sliding like a motherfucker.
they're not. They just won their last series. And they just lost last night to the Marlins, but you can't count that game because everyone in the batting order was just a bench player. They didn't start any of their original, like none of their starters.
Yeah, but that's because they don't have many of their starters. Belly's out with a hairline fracture.
Sure.
Corey Seager just hit the injured list.
You still have Muncy. You still have Turner.
Mad Max is the only reliable thing they have going right now.
You still have Mookie. Like Mookie played great last night. And
He's definitely been down
fire.
this season. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Mookie's been having a down year. He's batting in the 250s.
But it's also baseball.
Right.
It's early in the
absolutely.
year.
But when all of your other stars are hurt and your number one, again, generational talent is playing like a slightly above average player, that's when you start to run into issues and stuff. They're very lucky that they have a ridiculous pitching staff.
One of the most dominant, I think that's probably the scariest pitching staff in baseball.
Oh my God.
Starting pitching staff, their bullpen hasn't done them dick.
No, but when your starters are so good and carry you into innings 7 and 8,
did you see what Trevor Bauer has been doing to people? Like,
it's insane. Trevor Bauer's lights out.
His curveball and slider. First of all, there was a statistic I saw. He has the most. Not the most dominant fastball. And as with like baseball, there are statistics that no one cares about. It's like, oh, what is your slugging percentage when like a hot dog is sold 4 minutes before the sun shines through? Like, no, it's that no one cares about half those statistics. But he does. His fastball is something like the single most. It's either the most successful or the most. It's not the most dominant, but it is like the most something, like the most powerful or the most efficient pitch.
And it's
right now.
Purely because of how ridiculous his off-speed stuff is.
Oh my God!
When you're trying to hit the nonsense that he's throwing, and then all of a sudden he throws a fastball, and you're expecting it to drop 7 inches. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah. No, so. I think that like the Dodgers are like in any real danger right now as far as like this season getting away from them? No. Injury bug, maybe. Can you blame anyone for it? No.
I mean, I wouldn't start slamming the panic button, but Drew, go ahead.
The upside of that is Seager doesn't need surgery on his hands.
Right.
Mm-hmm. They're looking at probably 4 to 6 weeks to get him back. Bellinger's starting a rehab assignment this week.
Yep.
So they're getting close to getting their stars back, and that'll take a lot of the pressure off the guys that are keeping them afloat now, like Max Muncy and what Mookie's been able to do, and Justin Turner to a degree.
And I ask, and I just asked this question. If you, as far as where you're sliding, don't you think it's better to slide on hitting than pitching, right? As long as your pitching's dominant, like in a lot of games, you really need 1 or 2 batters to do well one game, and you can win if your pitching's dominant. So yeah, they're losing some of their hitters to injury, but it's so much easier to stack wins, to win games 1-0, than it is to go up and have a really crappy pitching force and a great batting, and you got to win slugfests, right? So don't you think the Dodgers are, in a better position as far as if you got to lose one or the other?
Yeah, no, if they're going to lose one, they picked the right one, I guess. You're absolutely right. It's much better to go into a situation where you only have to, again, depend on 1 or 2 guys to scrape a run or 2 across the board, as opposed to betting on your whole team to put up 6 or 7.
Yeah, like if your pitching staff can't hold it up and you're constantly trying to win games with everyone in the batting order going 3 for 4, 3 RBI every night, and you're trying to win these like 8 to 9, 9 to 8 games or 13 to 12 games, it's an uphill battle and it's a lot harder.
Here's my thing about it is this is not a division you want to fall behind in. I always talk about the AL West. The NL West, you're talking about a Giants who have had a fat resurgence. I mean, they're sitting in first as I look at it right now. The Padres, who were a 500 team, have now cracked through that mark. And the Dodgers, who are sitting at just above 4 games above 500.
Right. That's a really, really good point. You're right. the Dodgers can't afford to lose games. They, especially in a division as just merciless as this one. Because you're right, there could be it could be like they could end up keep winning, but they're still 10 games back. And also the Giants coming out of nowhere to play really good baseball is actually like really interesting.
They've done a really good job with their farm system. The Yastrzemski.
Oh, do they know Dave Dabrowski? They should bring him over.
I forget where. No, he's in Philly now.
That explains so much.
Yeah.
Is he really?
I
Yeah,
argue
he's
Philly's
the
probably
GM of
one of the
Philly.
single most like disappointing teams. But also that we can. I want to talk about that later, like the Phillies. Like,
Actually, I kind of want to dive into that a bit now because Drew, we're gonna talk about your division before we finish off our baseball talk. What the fuck?
Yeah, the Nationals blow. That's not
16 and
secret.
20.
Yeah, they're bad.
Oh my
so-
god.
I think it's still just weird to look at it and see that the Mets are sitting on top of that division, even though they've played like 6 less games than the whoever the fuck's in second, the Phillies, whatever. Who.
Yeah, Phillies are in 2.
And the Braves have definitely underperformed. Injuries there as well, but still thought that they would be able to hold their own a little bit better. I don't know. That division's a complete shit show. Once the Mets make up their games, we'll see how that goes. But I don't know. Anybody but the Nationals race there.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it before when we were looking at the NL West, and I was like, oh damn, the Rockies are fucking 15 and 26, and I was like, oh, the Nationals are 16 and 20.
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay.
It's weird because there's just a smattering of with COVID and everything that's happened, and just teams that have played like significantly less games than other teams and stuff. It just sucks. You can't really compare as well.
All right. Well, I have nothing else to add. I don't really have a master debaters. I don't have a trash bag for this week, unless you guys have someone you want to throw in there.
I think we're running a little late anyways, so
Yeah, this is a long ass episode.
But I think it was also really important because it's, everyone had like, well, I think a lot of us had opinions we didn't definitely plan on going into, so it was actually really cool to like talk about it.
Yeah, Rob yelled at us about the basketball brackets. So anyway,
That's fair. God, I'm starting to get the reputation of just yelling about everything. I'm gonna tone that down.
no, keep it going. I love it. So thank you all for joining us.
Need that drive.
You son bitch, don't cut off my ending. Anyway, thank you all for joining us on another episode of the BOTA Show. You know where to find us: Spotify, Instagram, Twitter. Wait, what? Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at BOTA Sports. This will be on YouTube for your viewing pleasure. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. Other than that, I got nothing. So if anybody else has anything to say, you know how I'm going to sign off. Unless anybody.
Say yabba.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Yeah, Rob, you're gonna need to stay. You're gonna need to stay blank. We'll figure it out from there.
Stay blank.
Vegetables.
Don't feel bad, Rob.
Stay broccoli.
Oh God.
I got nothing. We will workshop.
Good
some
God.
stuff.
All right, stay beautiful. Fucking God.